How good was Melbourne last week? Great energy, brilliant vibe, fantastic conversation, and even the weather. So, no expectations, guys. We need to repeat the blockbuster sequel. Before I go into the session, show of hands, how many of you have heard about Buyer's Guide? Keep your hands up if you actually downloaded it and read it. Okay, I'm seeing you. If your answer is yes, you're part of a very elite group. In 2021, IAB launched Buyer's Guide as a guide for breaking down the jargons and also helping traditional buyers upskill on programmatic and digital. At the same time, digital buyers understand nuances. Now, a lot of things have changed from 2021 to 2025. Obviously, there's been more inventory on programmatic, close to about 30,000 screens already on programmatic. We've had at least 2 tech consolidations in this period. We've had new products that has been launched, new measurement system in Move. So earlier this year, the Digital Out-of-Home Council got together to refresh the Buyer's Guide. So, ladies and gentlemen, presenting for the first time, no, for the second time, the Programmatic Digital Out-of-Home Buyer's Guide 2025. Now, I highly recommend you to go through all of this. This session is all about unpacking some of those elements within the guide. Now, obviously, I will not be able to go through every single one of the aspects, but we will cover off a few of the key aspects from planning to even proving the effectiveness of programmatic out-of-home. Now, to do this, I won't be doing this alone, thank God. I've got a superstar panel, so put your hands together to welcome Matt Bushby from Perion, Bex Perry from Vista, Kieran Homan from Yahoo, Ben Alman from Broadsign, and Laura Mayes from Trade Desk. A lot of fans.
Hello.
Ben.
Where do you want me to start?
Anywhere, right? Anywhere. Look at that. How good is that? Broadsign sitting next to Vista, Hivestack sitting next to Broadsign, Trade Desk sitting next to Yahoo. Life makes complete sense, guys. Life makes absolutely complete sense. All right, first question, Matt Bushby. If I'm a digital buyer and looking at programmatic out-of-home, what are those unique nuances that I need to know before buying? And also, how different is it between a programmatic out-of-home and programmatic rest of the channels?
Okay, thanks, Eb. Look, I think one of the things that really sets digital out-of-home apart from other channels is impact. It's a channel that obviously has high engagement. You've heard all the words around unskippable and the way that it can really engage with a particular audience. There's a number of different formats out there. You've got your large format, you've got your bus shelters, you've got all your place-based assets, such as retail and gas stations and gyms and veterinary surgeries and all sorts of amazing stuff that's happening out there. And with that, you actually get a specific audience. So I think one thing before you even actually start to apply an audience over a digital out-of-home campaign or a programmatic out-of-home campaign is the audience lives in that environment. So if you're advertising in a gym, those people are generally healthy or trying to get healthy and have a certain interest and attitude. So there's some real appeal there. I think the other thing that really stands out, and the IMA should certainly be congratulated for the work they've done with Move, but the impression multiplier is just epic, the way that we've been able to standardise that and that everyone's actually working from the same handbook. It just provides a currency, whether or not it's 100% great for everybody, at least everyone's been marked on the same paper, which is wonderful. And just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on that. So like with us, we look at the data on an hourly basis. So when a person is in front of a screen, obviously depending upon the time of the day and the location, that actually could change. So it could be, if it's an ad playing at a gym, for example, I'll pick on gyms, at 1 a.m. in the morning, it might be a multiple of 1. But if it's in a retail environment or a roadside environment during a peak period, your multiple could be 30. So you're actually paying for the audience, which is a really cool thing. So there's a real efficiency play there about making sure that you're paying for the people who are actually in front of the screens. And the final thing I also wanted to mention was the importance of creative consideration. So with Out of Home, there's a number of different sizes. Most campaigns you can get away with sort of a portrait or a landscape format. Most of us, either on the DSP or SSP side, can do an aspect ratio change of around 10%. And we're all wanting to reduce any barriers for those people who are looking at programmatic Out of Home. We can certainly look at resizing and sort of bringing you guys in to sort of be part of that journey. But a lot of these formats are place-based, so they're environments that take video. So that also lends itself to sort of CTV and other channels that can easily be moved over. And then my final thing there is DCO. It's a big thing. It's a real thing. We're doing some amazing campaigns, and it really does lift that engagement piece and relevance. Thank you.
Just to put it out there, there's no 1 a.m. ad playing in any gyms, just FYI. Just letting you know. Quick one. So would you say the context of the screen is very important? Like from,
yes.
Yeah? Understanding the context of what screen you're placing and what audience is in front of the screen.
Absolutely. The screen, the audience in front of the screen, what they're doing, what they're thinking, what they're about to do next. The more that you can become relevant in your advertising, the more salient the advertising will be.
Yeah. Bex, moving on, if a buyer have decided they want to go programmatic route, are there planning tools? Is it a bit of art and science, or is it mixed? Are there tools right now that'll enable a planner to activate and plan on digital programmatic out of home?
Yeah, so, nice and loud this week, yay! Won't be too jazz handsy this week either. So, look, I think when we think about programmatic, we tend to think about the trading component, the automated trading component, which is, a critical component to it, but only part of the equation. So, planning is also one of the key impetus for a successful campaign. And, behind the planning tools are the ability to make it as easy as possible for our agencies and brands to find the screens they want, using the data capabilities to reach the right person in the right place at the right time. So, a great example of that, if we think about a client, FMCG client, for example, maybe it's an energy drink, something like that, whereby, they're launching a new product. The objective is to drive brand awareness, and they want to target a couple of specific audiences. Maybe it's health enthusiasts or students or something like that. So the tools will provide the data to enable them to reach those audiences. And then within that, we can start to think about the environment. So to Matt's point, what's the contextual alignment of the format? Is it gyms? Is it universities? Is it street furniture? Retail around to drive point of sale. And then what's the creative consideration there as well? Well, perhaps, this particular energy drink has 3 different flavors, and we want to put that creative in rotation so that we can make sure that we're promoting all the different aspects of the product. And then what's the measurement that we're looking to achieve off the back of it? So again, using the tools to understand and track the campaign effectiveness and the outcomes. Clearly, with this particular campaign, it was about driving brand awareness of a new product. Therefore, we wanted to look at the impact of, shift in sentiment around consideration. So the tools are there.
Yeah.
And there are many benefits to obviously leaning in and using those tools, and we call them out in the buyer's guide. The ease of access, so really quick and easy to plan and activate a campaign. An agency can do it in a couple of clicks. It's data-driven, as I just mentioned, with the FMCG example. Innovation when it comes to creative, and also, I had one more, measurement. So, I actually call this QUIDIM. Have you heard of that, Sab? QUIDIM?
No.
QUIDIM. That's my new acronym. I just made it up.
We need more. We need more.
Who needs
just
ChatGPT?
said cut through jargons.
Yeah, exactly.
We had it.
If there's one takeaway, guys, from today, it's QUIDIM. Just remember to quote your source, Bex 2025. Did I answer the question?
No.
Yeah.
You were explaining what was QUIDIM.
QUIDIM, yeah. So look, many benefits.
Do you also see planning teams accessing these tools? Like, do you see different teams within the agency actively participating in these tools.
Yeah, absolutely. Because from a planning perspective, the tool is designed to take into consideration the nuance of out of home, right? So whether you're on the planning side or the investment side, those tools are there, that function. And then, of course, there's the activation as well, which again, leans into perhaps some of the activation people among us. So it's connected ecosystem, it's automated, but the capabilities are there depending on, it doesn't matter what function you're working from within the agency.
Perfect. Kieran, from an omni-channel perspective, now I got into trouble by talking about omni-channel last time. So omni-channel perspective, how does a planner approach this? And what have you seen? Is there any examples that you can kind of let us know?
Yeah, I'll take you through a couple of different strategies that are working well with brands with us at the moment. I'd start by saying programmatic out of home is data-driven, it can be optimized, and it's measurable. So can the other digital channels. So we're seeing a really nice continued growth in unified omni-channel planning. And then from that, I think we're starting to see certain channels really complement and work well together. And you're seeing lines blurred between channels like programmatic out of home and CTV. Yep. Where we're seeing success with brands using CTV and programmatic out of home, it's when they're looking at that awareness, reach, and attention metrics. And there's a couple of different strategies there that you can implement. So one can be as simple as extending your current CTV assets that you have available across out-of-home panels that are audio and video led, and Sab, you can pay me later, but that's some of the, the Val Morgan Gym network or the Petrol network or Jay Sitaco's Cross-Track TV rail network. But it's when those two channels are working together that we can really see that. And again, it's focusing on the awareness, the reach, and the attention. If we're looking at awareness, another great example there is when we're starting to use programmatic out of home in an omnichannel mix to find those hard to reach audiences. So it's again about partnering with someone like Samba TV and utilizing that ACR data to really understand your linear and total TV exposure, and then activating your programmatic out of home campaign in postcodes that are under indexing for that total TV exposure. An example, we worked with a tourism brand and they actually came to us and didn't have any linear running. So we flipped that around. We activated their programmatic out of home and their CTV together in those postcodes where their competitors were over-indexing for their linear TV and total TV exposure. So that was a really nice complementary strategy there across multiple different channels.
Yeah.
Sorry. I've got more, Sam.
No, go for
sorry,
it. Go
I'm going to keep going and then you can come. I've got a few more. Not too many, don't worry. I do love a mic, but I won't go for too long. You asked for examples, I'm going to give you a couple.
Perfect.
Train of thought, where am I at? Okay, so I think another shift that we're seeing with brands that's working really nicely too from an omnichannel lens is going away from buying panels and selecting panels, but really trusting and buying audiences. And there has to be a level of restraint here, a little bit of self-control, but we're seeing a lot of success there. We're working with an alcohol brand that has such rich first-party data, and they're truly finding their audiences and activating their true omnichannel campaign across all the digital channels with their first-party data, but also across their programmatic out-of-home buy. Yeah. So again, we're seeing a lot of success there. If we continue down this route where I think, in my opinion, we're going to continue down there with buying audiences and not just panels, we're going to see an increase in data integrations to allow for smarter audience targeting and also measurement. Bear with me, staying with audiences, something is tried and tested, everybody knows this, but it's not going to go anywhere and it's a no-brainer. It's that re-engagement strategy. You have an omnichannel campaign, you've got your programmatic out of home, let's understand that exposed audience and re-engage them. And Matt, you spoke about this, but the creative is so important here. What creative are we serving to a consumer on their high-impact mobile device in the middle of the day when we know that morning they commuted into the office past your Street Furniture City assets? So what sort of creative are we going to be serving to them there? Yeah. And I would say,
I'm not going to open.
If we want to continue seeing growth in this channel, we really, truly do need to treat programmatic out of home as a part of the digital channel mix. So it's audience-led, it's flexible, and it's measurable.
Are you good?
I'm good, I'm good. Go for it.
So we see a lot of tactical campaigns adoption, like especially in the last 3-4 years. Do you see that in your platforms as well? Like, what kind of campaigns are more like, what kind of conversations are you having with the agencies, especially in programmatic out-of-home campaigns?
Yeah, so it's going back to the start from that unified planning. So we're no longer seeing siloed briefs coming through. They are the true picture. It is the true omni-channel holistic view. So, but we're seeing programmatic out of home as that leading play. It's either CTV that's leading with programmatic out of home, or programmatic out of home is leading, but then the array of channels in there as well. And that's really important, because then we're able to start thinking strategically from that audience and that data lens across the entire play. And I think, again, it's because of the increase in the data and from the measurement that has evolved that we're starting to really see the success and growth here.
Brilliant. Ben, creative regulations. How does that impact when you're activating a programmatic out-of-home campaign? And also, some of the panelists alluded to innovation in creatives as well. What are you seeing from your point of view?
I'm sort of trying to think what I can say about creative in out of home that hasn't already been mentioned on this this panel. I wasn't fortunate enough to be in Melbourne last week, obviously, but to use a rugby analogy, I sort of feel like I'm on the wing of a very well-drilled back line, and I'm sort of just worried that I'm not going to drop the ball at this stage.
We'll let you know.
But we'll see how we go. Yeah, I know you will, Sab. If I can use another analogy, actually, which oddly just sort of popped into my mind, is everyone familiar with the concept of raw dogging a flight? Does everyone know what I'm talking about here? Yeah. Okay, good. Do you know what
Bex
I mean?
hasn't heard of it.
I haven't heard of it.
So the idea is that you can't go to the toilet, you can't watch the in-flight entertainment, you're not eating the food, you are sitting there staring ahead of you for however many hours you're on the flight. And I would sort of liken crap creative in out of home to raw dogging a first class Emirates flight to Dubai. Like, you will get to where you're going, you will get what you're paying for, but it's not necessarily the best investment of your money. So, as a few people have alluded to, the creative is incredibly important. Creative is king. In fact, I know it gets referenced a lot as well, but oMedia commissioned some very thorough research with analytics partners, I think it was. Hopefully I can get some nods across the room, a number of years ago, which found that the creative, on average, is responsible for about 40% of the campaign's effectiveness. And I'm surprised it's not more than that, in all honesty. To your question, Sab, around, I guess, the management of, creative exclusions and the like, I think programmatic probably doesn't get enough credit for its ability to automate the way in which that's managed. Matt actually touched on a really good one earlier around the ability to resize creatives in terms of aspect ratio and resolution. So a campaign that might require, let's say, 50 different creatives, all of a sudden you're talking about 5 different creatives. And that's essentially thanks to programmatic technology, which is enabling that. I guess the other side of it is exclusions, ensuring that the ad for mountain culture doesn't show up next to the local primary school. And once again, programmatic provides us with a way of being able to automate the management of that process. And it's incredibly important, right? If you start to talk about these concepts like dynamic creative optimization, we're seeing, and I'm sure you're all seeing as well, month on month, the number of creatives that get trafficked through our supplier side platform and demand side platform, it's just blowing up. It's gone from hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands. So there needs to be some automation around that, which if I can give Broadsign a little plug here, we did launch an AI creative assistant earlier this year. So
we did too.
Very good. Now I don't know how yours works.
Life doesn't make sense, guys. Life doesn't make sense. I take back that statement.
I'm regretting my decision of sitting next to Matt now, but I mean, how ours works today anyway. The idea is it's not AI that is approving or rejecting the creative for you. It's providing a recommendation based on a whole range of things: aspect ratio, resolution. Where's the screen located in terms of environment? Is it in proximity to a primary school? All of those sorts of things. And then it provides you with a recommendation. Do you approve it? Do you reject it? Or do you kind of look at it under the microscope for more information? I know I'm rambling on a little bit, so to sort of answer the second part of your question around, where I see creative going in out of home, I think Chris Houghton actually from Houghton and Company has a session later today on the future of creative in out of home. So I won't step on his toes too much, and I hate to be the wanker on the panel that talks about AI, but I think there's a huge role for AI to play. At this stage, not necessarily with regards to creating the creative itself, but a lot of those adjustments that can make the campaign more contextually relevant, because it's all well and good for us to sit here on stage and talk about brands and agencies needing to create more contextually relevant dynamic campaigns and all those sorts of things, but it costs time, it requires resource and money, and AI is a really good opportunity to make that whole process more efficient.
Well done. I was a bit worried about how you started, but well landed. Good on.
We got there in the end. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Laura, proof. Is there any gold standards in terms of measuring the effectiveness of programmatic, and what are you seeing from your end in terms of measurement?
Yeah, I think to a lot of the previous points made, especially from Karen, like digital out of home, as we know from the attitudes expressed in the buyer's guide, is it's becoming a channel. Like, it's no longer a test channel. It's sort of a regular part of people's media mix. And with that, we need to start treating it, I guess, in the same way that we do our other digital channels, and that includes in measurement. So I think like the beauty of that is it sits within the same ecosystem as all the other channels. And, you know, we can look at the same sort of like reach and frequency analysis, cross-device attribution, footfall studies and things like that to really measure that, just as it's becoming more addressable from a targeting and optimization standpoint. I think from a measurement perspective as well, we really need to lean into that and just treat it just like all the other channels to be able to quantify not only the value of it singularly as a channel, but also how it performs in terms of like the broader media mix as well. Obviously, sorry, dirty word, I work for an omni-channel DSP, so you know, I think we preach that value, and being able to tie that together with an identity framework with a cross-device graph, so being able to understand those users and how they're interacting across all screens, including digital out of home. Where we see, I guess, the greatest value and the greatest results is where they're using out of home, digital out of home, to sort of in those really high attention environments, which we know out of home is so great for, and then being able to re-engage those audiences and users across all their other digital channels in those more personal one-to-one contexts. And yeah, we can use sort of things if they, you know, whether it be control versus exposed methodologies, footfall attribution, anything like that, even if we're looking at retail data to measure both offline and online impact of it as a channel as well, and also the contribution that it makes to those online and offline sales in overall context. So yeah, I think like where, you know, when we want it to be considered in the same as you would any other digital investments, and I guess we see the best results from those who do use that full digital toolkit. Yeah, so I think just trying to treat it as you would any other digital channel, because it is like that, and it's only becoming more addressable, more, yeah, it's data-driven. We want to treat it that way, including measurement.
Yeah. Is there any examples that you can share with us?
I think CTV is like, we see great salience there as well. I think without going into any sort of like brand specifics and things like that, we find that when we look at sort of if we look at a user's journey, which we can when we're tying it all together using cross-device attribution, generally almost all the time when digital out of home is included in the channel mix as a primer, we see a shorter path to conversion, whether that be time to convert, or in the channel mix. Yeah, I think digital out of home is really great for priming that, and is always a really great contributor to those conversion points.
Perfect. I think that's the time that we have. To wrap it up, guys, programmatic out of home is no longer nice to have. It's a core part of your out of home buy. And as an industry, what we want to make that is make it as easy and simple as it can be for you. And I think Programmatic Buyer's Guide is one step towards that. So I highly encourage you to download it, read it, question it, so that this can be a living, breathing, iterative resource that we can all benefit from. Thank you to my wonderful panelists. You've been well. Thank you.